So James Cameron is definitely on his hype train when it comes to Avatar: The Way of the Water, and one of the things he said recently caught my attention. So apparently James Cameron took a little bit of a jab at the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. Why he did that, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe he feels like the MCU is the big dog in cinematic telling right now, so that's why maybe he went after them. But I'm not really sure. But he just recently said that the only reason the Marvel Cinematic Universe is more popular than Avatar. Now, keep in mind, Avatar is literally one film that has come out at one point in history. Now, obviously, you have the second one coming out, but that is still one film that has come out in one point in history. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has spanned over 10 years by now, and it's not even close. But once again, his reasoning for the only reason that the MCU is popular or more popular than Avatar is that it simply has more films, and that's it. That's the only reason why, in his eyes, the MCU is more popular than Avatar. To him, Avatar, the franchise, should be as popular or more popular than the MCU, regardless of how many films that each franchise had. Now, obviously, we think that's pretty ridiculous, so we're going to get into the article, guys. This one's from good old Bounding into Comics. But before we do, guys, help me out. Like the stream if you can. We've noticed that the more likes the video gets, the more it gets spread out on the YouTube algorithm, and we are trying to fight the suppression of YouTube. So if you can help me out, it's free, it's easy, takes 3 seconds. Hit the like button if you enjoy my content, if you enjoy me. And if you don't like me, I understand. It is what it is. So it says James Cameron says the only reason Marvel Cinematic Universe is more popular than Avatar is that it has received more films. According to James Cameron, the only reason audiences are more likely to recall the name of every hero who appeared at the end of the Infinity War than a single character in Avatar is solely because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has had more entries than the latest franchise. The eccentric director shared his opinion on the popularity disparity between Disney's long-running superhero franchise and his soon-to-be two-entry blue skin retelling of Pocahontas. God, holy shit, Belding. That was straight on the nose. During a recent interview with the Hollywood Reporter, given his promotion of his upcoming Avatar: The Way of the Water. Now, listen, I get it, okay? James Cameron is gonna do what he's got to do to try to get Avatar back in people's minds, okay? He tried to do it before when they re-released, I should say, Avatar the first movie in theaters. If you guys remember, I think it was a couple months ago, they released Avatar back in theaters, and he did that purposely. He did that to try to get Avatar refreshed in people's minds. Not only that, to try to make some money from the initial franchise so that he can kind of bolster his budget for his upcoming 3 movies. But he did do that, and he did try to get Avatar back in people's minds. But to compare yourself to the MCU is two totally different things. I don't understand why you even try to do that, considering that it's not even close to being the same. But of course, he's doing that because MCU is the big dog right now in cinematic storytelling. That's just the truth, okay? Like DC is obviously going to try to do their own thing now with James Gunn and Peter Safran, but MCU is the big dog, so he's going to try to, bring down the big dog. That's just what it is. That's how this whole movie shit goes. It says, asked by the outlet's senior film editor Rebecca Keegan for his thoughts on the audience skepticism surrounding his ambitious multi-sequel plans for Avatar, particularly in the light of aforementioned lack of an impression the original film made on audiences, the director admitted that while he's heard the discourse, he hasn't really given it any weight. There's skepticism in the marketplace around, oh, did it ever make any real cultural impact? Can anybody even remember the characters' names? Said Cameron. When you have extraordinary success, you come back within the next 3 years, he explained. That's just how the industry works. You come back to the well and you build the cultural impact over time. Marvel has had maybe 26 movies to build out a universe with the characters cross pollinating, he concluded, so it's an irrelevant argument. We'll see what happens after this film. With such bravado towards the confidence in a Navi is typical of Cameron, despite his ironic belief that testosterone is a toxin, which makes his opinion particularly noteworthy is the insight it provides into Hollywood's view on what endears a given property to fans. Now, I didn't actually make a video when James Cameron basically cuckified himself and said that masculinity is a toxin and needs to work out of your body. This is the fucking problem, okay? I made a video before about how the actor from Reacher basically was going off about men and how men are just not masculine anymore, and how it's because men were taught that masculinity is toxic and that it should not be embraced, and that's why men are just standing around letting so much crap happen. This is the same thing that's happening in Hollywood. Like these people like Cameron, they truly believe that they are so soy infused. They drink soy lattes all the time that they literally have very little to no masculinity left. There is not a single bit of testosterone in their bodies, and they think that anybody else who has a lot of testosterone, has a lot of masculinity, or portrays that is somehow toxic and evil. It's kind of like a weird thing, but unfortunately, this is where we're at in Hollywood right now. It says, in the eyes of an ever increasingly mechanical industry, there's no longer a care to craft strong stories, develop unique characters, or respond to fan sentiment. Instead, they believe that just by beating audiences over the head with a given character, the audience will eventually give in and accept their artificial narrative that they are incredibly popular. Literally quantity over quality. And you know what? I agree with that sentiment because they, as we see with the MCU, Phase Four, they thought that it was going to be able to be a big hit just because it's the MCU. They thought at this point Marvel was like riding on such a high that they thought it was literally impossible for them to not do well. So they thought that they could release all these characters that nobody cares about. They thought that they could release all these movies that were half-assed, very little effort put into them compared to the previous three phases, especially in the CGI department. They thought that they can get away with all of this simply because they are the MCU. Like James Cameron said, quality over quantity. And unfortunately for them, they found out real quick that that's just not the case. So it says, and this just isn't a paranoid conspiracy theory extrapolated from the words of one director. Audiences have seen this philosophy put into place with increasingly tiring frequency over the past few years across entertainment, as seen in the aggressive marketing pushes behind characters such as Ironheart, actors like Simu Liu, or the idea, as seen most recently in DC's Dark Crisis Young Justice miniseries, that any work made before 2022 was inherently bigoted. And that's exactly what I just said. Aside from the bigotry thing, literally exactly what I was saying. They are flooding you with characters that nobody cares about, and they're trying to pretend like everybody loves these characters. That's the most insulting thing. They take something like Ironheart, right? Something like Ironheart, and they try to pretend like everybody's a huge fan of Ironheart. She's the next big thing. We're so excited for Ironheart. There's nobody excited for Ironheart, okay? There's only a few people who are excited for Ironheart for the most stupid fucking reasons. Aside from that, nobody actually genuinely cares about Ironheart in comparison to Iron Man or whatever the case may be. It's just the truth. You can be mad all you want, but nobody cares. It says at the end of the day, audiences who don't consider key jangling to be the height of human culture don't care how frequently something is given attention, but rather what kind it is receiving. So listen, guys. James Cameron obviously is a little bit of a psycho. Okay, we know that James Cameron is eccentric. I think that's putting it pretty lightly. But at the end of the day, he is a great director. Okay, he is. There's no denying it. The guy has a massive portfolio of movies that he has directed, and some of them are the biggest movies of all time. So him as a director can never be argued. Him as a person and his ideologies, now that's something different. He might be a little bit insane, and we know that. But listen, in Hollywood, who isn't insane, right? Like, who in Hollywood is not insane at this point? They're all pretty much nuts. So we're gonna see exactly what happens with Avatar: The Way of the Water. If he thinks that Avatar 2 is gonna compare to the MCU in any way imaginable, I don't think that's possible. And maybe that's why he's coming out with Avatar 2, 3, and 4 so fast, because he's trying to pull some sort of cinematic universe within his own characters. I highly doubt it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought of today's story, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.